Hello and welcome to another The Great Ace Attorney Chronicles stream. Let's begin. Are we finally not going to be the culprit? I mean, suspect.
Glancing over my records of the late last century, I am faced by the events of a certain bitter winter. A murder in a carriage as it sped through dense London fog in the dead of night. Though the victim and the perpetrator were the only ones inside, there were multiple witnesses to the crime itself. However, none could have imagined at the time that such a seemingly obvious case as this would end in such a horrendous manner. My friend, Mr. Herlock Sholmes, once said of the incident, "I believe that perhaps that case was indeed the prelude. The beginning of a long concerto that impressive Japanese student and I were to play together."
He's grown on me a little bit. Just a little bit.
Amazing. Is this really just a railway station?
Railway station or not, I've never seen such an enormous building before.
And look at all the steam locomotives. This country is incredible.
I feel like I'm dreaming.
So this is the capital of Great Britain.
So, where to?
Oh, hello.
Climb aboard. I'll take you wherever you want to go.
In that case, the Supreme Court in Whitehall, if you wouldn't mind.
My pleasure. I suppose you're visiting students from abroad, eh?
Yes.
Thought so. Well then, I hope you enjoy your stay. And welcome to the centre of the world, Great Britain's mighty capital, London.
February, 9:21 a.m. British Supreme Court, Lord Chief Justice's office. Their traveling outfits look so much cooler. What an incredible place. It's so imposing. It's almost suffocating. This place is breathtaking. It looks like a fortress. There are some stone buildings like this in Japan now, of course, but they've only been built in the few short decades since we've opened our borders to the outside world. An authentic example like this has quite a different impact, wouldn't you agree? A far cry from the wood and paper most of our buildings are constructed from. It's certainly unfamiliar. But I think there's more to the differences than just construction materials. There's also the exposed gears. What? Who would... Is this a thing? Like, if someone accidentally threw a book into the gears, the whole clock would break. Something terrible might happen. Like, you could... I don't... There's so many things that could happen. Please tell me that's not an actual thing where offices are located in the gearwork of a clock. Like, eh? What is this place again? This is the Lord Chief Justice's office, Naruhodo-san, in the Supreme Court of Great Britain. The Lord Chief Justice. We had instructions to report here at this time. If circumstances were different, we were supposed to let the Lord Chief Justice know that we had arrived from Japan. But Kazuma can't. No. So instead, we're here in a different capacity, as envoys, to report the news of Kazuma-sama's death. Yes. And having delivered his or her message, an envoy's duty is done. So, we'd have to return to Japan. If we want to remain here in Great Britain, I have to take Kazuma's place as the law student selected for the study tour. Yes, which means you need the requisite qualifications as a lawyer, which is what I've been studying for. Here in Great Britain, it is the Lord Chief Justice who appoints lawyers. So that's the second reason why we're here, to have you officially recognized as a lawyer. It's the only way that we'll be able to remain here in London. I hope I'm up to scratch. Good morning. Sorry to keep you waiting. Oh, sorry to keep you. No. Oh boy. Yeah. Oh. I trust you aren't too exhausted after your long voyage from Japan. It seems I'm 1 hour, 12 minutes and 47 seconds late. My apologies. Oh, no, don't mention it. We're never happier than when we're standing around with nothing much to do. How fortunate. So, introductions. I am Male Strongheart, Lord Chief Justice of the British Empire. Oh boy, oh boy. Maelstrom, as in storm? Maelstrom. Powerful whirlwind in the sea or river. Situation or state confused movement or violent turmoil. Oh, you are fun. But you are also a male with a strong heart. Oh, I need a better voice for him. I feel like a little mouse under an elephant's foot. Come on, Naruhodo. Don't be a mouse. Oh, it's an honor to meet you, Lord Chief Justice Strongheart. I am Ryonosuke Naruhodo from the Empire of Japan. Well, Mr. Naruhodo. This is a... He gives me villain vibes. He gives me villain vibes. If he is a villain, his design is fantastic. Because this gives me such villain vibes. Welcome to London, the capital of our glorious British Empire. Ah, yes. Thank you. Now we have to tell him we're not Asogi. And please let us stay. This theme is pretty good. Okay. London. So, what are your impressions of the capital so far? How do you like London? Oh, help. I've been so nervous ever since I got here that I can't remember a single thing about the city. It's simply splendid, isn't it, Mr. Naruhodo? Oh? We had a wonderful view of some of the London streets from the carriage on the way here from the station. Everything is so impressive and grand. I must say I'm almost lost for words. I'm glad to hear you like it. The city boasts tramways, piped water, and even gas. Even cables supplying electricity. We spearheaded every revolutionary new technology in the world. Every visitor to London is astounded. Oh yes, astounded is the world. No, astounded is the word. Thanks for saving me, Susato-san. And everyone seems so jolly and full of vigor. Yes. There is much excitement about the upcoming exhibition we will be hosting here in London. Great exhibition? Cultural and technological achievements from around the globe are to be exhibited here in our great city. It will be the greatest spectacle of its kind in history, and we will make Paris's World Fair look like a toy shop. Gosh, I can hardly imagine how magnificent it's going to be. Great Britain's capital city is nothing but magnificent. London is the center of the modern world. Even if you do say so yourself. The sun will never set on our great empire. Perhaps it is fate that in these progressive times we welcome visitors from the land of the rising sun. Lord Chief Justice, I think you were expecting a student of law for the study tour, weren't you? Absolutely! A Mr. Kazuma Azogi, if my memory serves. That's right. The British government has already been telegraphed a full report on the situation. Understand the young man lost his life aboard the steamship bound for our shores. That's amazing. The news reached him before we even arrived. My country naturally extends its deepest condolences to yours. Oh, thank you. And you honored this appointment specifically to inform me of the news? Yes. We are here in the capacity of envoys from Japan to report the sad news in person. I see you Japanese. They tell me you Japanese are people of protocol and courtesy, and I see that it's true. And it's with some regret that I must inform you that the death of the young lawyer means the study tour arrangement can no longer proceed. If you would just hear us out, Lord Strongheart. What do you have to say, madam? It's about the study tour. Mr. Naruhodo here would like to make a proposal. Would he now? Well, Mr. Naruhodo? This is it then. The moment of truth. The thing is, Lord Justice, Strongheart, I was wondering if perhaps you would consider allowing the study tour to go ahead. Don't misunderstand me. Britain would ideally like to see the tour go ahead. But without a lawyer from your country, there's nothing to be done. Well, in that case, what if there was someone else? Another lawyer from Japan, I mean. Is there something I don't know? Only a single lawyer was invited to Great Britain from your country, and that was Mr. Asogi. Or at least, that is what I've been led to understand. Well, the thing is, this isn't really going well at all. I just can't seem to find the right words to say to this man. Mr. Naruhodo, I could ruin things here if I'm not careful. What am I going to say? if there's someone else from Japan who could be described as a lawyer, it's me. I can do it. Is that so? I mean, I don't have any actual qualifications as such, but... No qualifications, you say? And yet you still claim to be a lawyer? I have acted as a lawyer in court before. Only once, as it happens. And I had Kazuma to help me, and I was accused. But glossing over the details. I've been spending every spare moment on the journey here to Great Britain studying. I've learned all about the British law and court proceedings while I was on board the SS Buria. The voyage from Japan is some 50 days, I believe. Not what you might call a full education. To become a qualified lawyer here in Britain, not only do you need a university degree in law, you must also complete several years of training. I realize it's far too short a period of time, but I can't just go back to Japan. Kazuma, Mr. Azogi's journey had only just begun. Coming here on the study tour was all he thought about. I have to carry on and do everything he planned to do. I know it must sound like I have an overly inflated opinion of myself, but I would do anything to prove that I have what it takes. Any test you care to set me. Just one chance. That's all I'm asking for. Please. 31 seconds. Sorry? Your opening statement there, Mr. Naruhodo, was 31 seconds long. Not too brief, not too protracted. A perfectly judged appeal, I would say. Which is a skill that would stand you in good stead as a lawyer. Oh, thanks. So, you're willing to put those words onto trial, are you? Well, I'm all for entertainment. Huh? But let me ask you one thing first, sir. Yes? You say you intend to do everything Mr. Azogi planned to do. Are you firmly set on that path? Well, yes. That's my intention. I see. Am I imagining things? Or did his expression just alter a fraction there all of a sudden? Very well. You have your wish. I'll give you your chance. A test to become a specially certified lawyer. Whether you pass or fail is entirely down to you. Really? See, he could be the villain. He could be a villain. But if he is, he'd have to be like Endgame. 'Cause he is the only one who, in theory, would be vouching for us to stay as a lawyer in this country. We'll see. Test. He is pretty intimidating. So, what form will the test take exactly? Tell me, Mr. Naruhodo, what do you consider the role of a lawyer to be? Well, defending people, of course. Well said. So, let's have you defend someone. In a real trial with little to no experience. This is pretty villainous, I would say. He's just trying to... If this was someone like... If this was a villain, he would be the true culprit. He's hoping that you'll fail the defense and get the other person found guilty because he doesn't believe in your ability. On the other hand, if he's not a villain, this is pretty bad for you to appoint a defense attorney who is probably incapable of doing the job. Ugh. Yikes. Okay. Either way, he's a bad guy. Either way, he's a bad dude. Huh? Your timing is perfect, in fact. There's an apt trial about to begin later today. No advocate has been appointed for the defense as yet, and this will be a welcome news. Today? Straight away? If you manage to secure a verdict of not guilty, you'll have passed my test. What could be simpler? How do I get myself into these situations? I mean, at least you're not the one on trial this time. This is an improvement. Well, could I ask, what sort of trial is it, Mr. Strongheart? Yes. Good question. Ah, I remember. It's a murder trial. A murder? That's all I know how to do, so... good. It's an extremely simple case, I understand. You can't really lose. If I can't really lose, that just means the detectives were incompetent. That's easy to say. But I should mention, just in case. If the defendant is found guilty, he will of course be sentenced to capital punishment. Capital punishment? He'll be put to death? Here in Great Britain, murderers are sent to the gallows without exception. Presumably, you read that much in your short C-based introduction to British law? We can't possibly agree to such a test. We would be toying with a man's life. I'm the Lord Chief Justice, and I've decided it's acceptable. But you can't do that, can you? There's no need to overcomplicate this. All you have to do is ensure you don't lose. So, the defendant may live or die depending on how well I perform in court? If I lose, he'll be hanged. Mr. Naruhodo, you've come to me claiming to be a lawyer. If you want me to take you seriously, you will need to prove you're willing to do a lawyer's job. And you say you intend to see through the will of your compatriot, Mr. Azogi. I would like to understand just how far you're willing to go in order to make that happen. He's testing my resolve. What's the matter? You've fallen silent. I'm sorry, but time is pressing. The trial begins shortly. I need an answer from you now. What's it to be? What do I say? Do I agree to this absurd test? Morally, no. Actually, yes. Alright then. If I have to give you a decision now, my answer is I can't do it. I can't get the words out. 15 seconds. Your decision making needs work if you want to be a lawyer. That was too slow. So, it's as I suspected, is it? Sorry? You have noble intentions, but the lack of resolve to see them through. The test is cancelled. Thank you for stopping by. Go and acquire your ticket for passage back to the east tomorrow. This conversation is over. Yes, Lord Strongheart. Thank you for offering me a chance. Mr. Naruhodo. I'm sorry, Miss Susato, but what could I do? It's alright, I understand. You do? It's not an easy decision to choose whether to defend a man in these circumstances, but resolve has absolutely nothing to do with it. What are you trying to say, madame? I think what Miss Susato means is that no matter how badly I'd like to be recognized as a lawyer and stay here in Great Britain, to risk another man's life by treating his one and only chance at a trial so trivially would be utterly unforgivable, and I feel exactly the same way. I'm sure the defendant won't see this trial as a test, as some kind of experiment. A lawyer may fight for his clients in court day after day, but for each of those clients, the particular day they stand in the dock may be the only chance they have to fight to prove their innocence. No, I was wrong. I'm not qualified to do that job yet. I'm sorry for wasting your precious time, Lord Chief Justice. Wait, Mr. Naruhodo. Oh, was there something else? It's approximately 20 minutes by carriage to the Old Bailey from here. If you leave immediately, you should still be there in time. But I just said that. I was quite serious in what I told you. The defendant in this case has literally no one to advocate for him. What? At this point, he can't hope to find someone to represent him. The trial will begin without a defense. And if that happens, there's only one possible outcome. He will receive the most severe sentence the judge can pass down. But that's awful. But that's the truth. Why does it have to be like this? Please don't expect an answer to every question. The cold hard truth of the matter is that there is only one person now with a chance to save this man from a very miserable end. And that is you. Dang, this is... Am I really his only hope? So, what do you say now, madame? Me? What do you mean, Lord Strongheart? You said it wasn't an easy decision to choose whether to defend a man in these circumstances. And I agree. But in my estimation, it is purely and simply a matter of resolve. Oh. Our time is up here. I have a meeting to attend. I must leave in 2 minutes and 16 seconds. So, venture into our great city and enjoy yourselves. He's gone. The Old Bailey. If we're going to do this, Mr. Naruhodo, we must leave at once. Well, leaving at once. London's highest criminal court with an illustrious past, the Old Bailey. This is where I have to take my test and prove my worthiness as a lawyer. We can skip the what to do. Let's just do this. We got this. It's a game, so we got this. Otherwise, we don't got this. 18th February, 9:45 a.m., the Old Bailey, defendant's antechamber. Okay, the thing is, like, the man never wrote us a note being like, hey, these guys are gonna defend this man's life. So, also, now that if he's in a meeting, he can't be the villain. He can't be the guy who did it. So yeah. Boop. Do. Oh, thank goodness, we're in time. There's still 15 minutes until the trial begins. I never knew a horse-drawn carriage could go so fast. I thought my teeth were going to rattle loose. Did you hear what I said to the driver when we climbed aboard? Get us to our destination in 5 minutes, driver. And there's a guinea in it for you. It's one of my favorite lines from Sherlock Holmes stories, and it worked quite perfectly. I'm not sure why you were so pleased. I thought we were going to die, and we had to pay you gold for the privilege. Well, at least we arrived here before the trial started. Yes, I suppose there's that. Anyway, I don't understand it. The court clerk said the defendant should be here, but there's no sign of him at all. So this is the Old Bailey. Even the room for defendants to wait in is grand. Are you alright, Mr. Naruhodo? I'm feeling tense, that's all. This place gives me the same sense of foreboding I remember from the Supreme Court of Japan. An oppressive air, almost as if the building itself was going to crush whoever is about to be sentenced. It feels like only yesterday that I was the one about to be crushed. Yes, whoever the man you're about to defend is, imagine he's feeling very alone at this moment. Top of the morning to you, madam, sir. This man definitely killed someone. He's our defendant. But just on character design, like, he does look shady. What are yous doing following me here? Things are fair desperate, are they? Sorry? Would you look at those? Would you look at those expressionless faces? From the east, are yous? Are yous? I'm not Van, no. We're from Japan, yes. Ah, Japan, is it? Right, say no more. So, how much do yous need? We're defending this guy. No, we're just here because... Wait, is he our defendant? This music has me very concerned. No need to explain, fella. I've been here myself, so I have. No places to go, nothing to eat, barely a penny in your name, and all while in a strange, faraway land. Well, actually, we haven't found a place to stay yet, no. Tis grand, tis grand. Let me start by giving yous 1,000 guineas. Say nothing now. 1,000 guineas? Please, Miss Susato, you don't have to shout. But 1,000 guineas is enough to build an entire mansion in the most prestigious area of Tokyo. What? This man is so sus. And his soundtrack is so... I don't think he's our defendant. I hope he's not. Are they trying to change how we view defendants? Is this what this is? He's either that, or he's a guilty party. Tis none to me at all. I like to ensure I have sufficient funds to weather a rainy day, see? Or rainy decade. I have enough wealth to build the city of London 2 or 3 times over. Could that much rain even fall in one day? Well, even so, we couldn't possibly accept such a large sum of money. Ah! That hit me in the eye. Don't get me wrong, fella. I'm not giving it to you no strings attached. I'll be wanting you to do something for me. Bribery? Very much bribery? Oh? To be honest, 'tis a little embarrassing. Okay, so he is the defendant? Trial that's about to begin, you see? It's for me good self here. I'll be in the dock. So now, what I want you to do is come along with me and stand there beside me. Officially, you'd be my lawyer, but that's just a little detail now. Oh, well, the thing is, don't worry about a thing. All you have to do is stand up next to me, nothing more. Otherwise, you see, trial's gonna start without me having any kind of representation at all. He is our defendant. Okay, so do we fail the test? So it was true. Lord Chief Justice wasn't just making it up, all up. You're telling me this rich guy can't find himself a lawyer? Can't bribe himself a lawyer? I'm terribly sorry to have to ask, but does this mean you're the defendant in this trial? Blaster and blazes, do yous not know who I am? Me? One of London's biggest names? No, sorry, we've only just arrived in the city, you know. You see? I see. I suppose the one isn't altogether impossible. Well, just next to Hyde Park, there's a beautiful center. There in the beautiful center of London is another beautiful park. Sorry, a park? What? 'Tis called McGilded Park, full of blossoming flowers in the spring and singing birds and whatnot. I donated it to the city, so I did. An entire park? In central London? A city of smiles, that's my vision for London. City of Smiles. That's my vision for London. That's nothing Magnus McGilded wouldn't do for. There's nothing Magnus McGilded wouldn't do for the city and its queer old people. That's amazing. I mean, really extraordinary. But now they got the gal to say I'm a good for nothing criminal. Me, Magnus McGilded. What's the matter with these London police, I ask ya? Alright, don't pass out. Mr. Naruhodo. Perhaps now would be a good time to introduce ourselves, while the gentleman catches his breath. Good idea. Mr. McGilded, the thing is, we're actually here in London to study British law. We're law students on a study tour from Japan, you see. So, if you don't have a lawyer for the trial yet, and you'd be happy to put yourself in our hands, we'll do our best. What was I after saying, you deaf idiot? I've given you 1,000 guineas to stand up there next to me, haven't I? Well, yes, but I wasn't really offering to just stand up there next to you. Oh, I see what's going on here. Sorry? I know what you're thinking. This Chancellor of a fellas claims to have more money than the Queen. But if that's true, why the blazes can't he hire the finest lawyer in all of England? Because he did it. That's the only explanation. Well. Well. No, totally not. Not at all. Although it's a strange. It is a little strange, to be honest. Why you don't have a lawyer, I mean. That would be the fault of the Reaper. Sorry, did he just say Reaper? Aye, the Grim Reaper of the Bailey, Lord Baroque Van Zykes. He's the prosecutor. The prosecutor is the Grim Reaper? When Van Zyke stands for the prosecution to call the accused his sacrificial lambs. And to this day, in every single trial in which he's been the prosecutor, the accused has been damned. Right. Our rival prosecutor. Whoa. What? So it's reached a desperate situation when there's no one willing to stand in defense of the fellow at all. You could say he's a living legend of the Old Bailey. Goodness, Lord Baroque Van Zykes. Or Sykes, or whatever. He must be an exceptionally talented prosecutor then. Talented isn't the word you're looking for, madam. It's cursed. Cursed? What on earth? The defendant is summoned, and his counsel. Please make your way into the courtroom. This trial is about to begin. His counsel. That would be me. Oh, 'tis time. Well then, fella, don't let me down. But I don't know anything about the case. You haven't told me what happened. Until you showed your face here, I'd made up my mind, so I had. Sorry? Decided I'd have to defend myself in there. How would that have worked? How did it work for you, Mr. Naruhodo-san? Then you made an appearance. A student of law, wouldn't you know? There's no accident, I assure you that. 'Tis fate. Don't get cold feet now, please. Well, they get great design on making people shady. I literally know nothing about the case, or about this man who stands accused. Good thing you're not living in the world of Ace Attorney 7? Was it 7? Was the last one 7? Was Spirit 7? And you won't get hanged along with him. In fact, the only thing I do know is that I can't just turn my back on him. Do do do. Mr. Naruhodo. The man has no one. He'll have to stand alone in that courtroom, armed with nothing to defend himself. Yes, something that Kazuma would never have allowed to happen. Counsel for the defense. What are you doing? Counsel for the defense. What are you doing? If you're late for the start of the trial, you will lose your right to stand. Well, then I'll sit. I'll be right there. I'll be right there. It's happening then. My first trial in a British court. I hope you're watching over me, Kazuma, because I have no idea how I'm going to manage this. Fire in a place that's so advanced it's got electricity, and yet there's fire on a thing that supposedly could tip over. Fire. 18 February, 10 a.m., the Old Bailey courtroom. So this is the highest court in Great Britain, the Old Bailey. The centuries of history in this place is palpable, isn't it? It's so different to the Supreme Court in Japan. It feels both imposing and serene at the same time. The atmosphere almost makes words redundant. Whatever the country, determining a person's guilt or innocence is always a solemn affair. May I say something, Naruhodo? Oh, yes. What? Your eyes look ready to pop out. Your eyes look ready to pop out of your head again. I know. I just can't help it. In the name of Her Majesty the Queen, I hereby declare this court to be in session. We are here today to determine the guilt or innocence of Mr. Magnus McGilded. I now call upon the counsels for the prosecution and defense to declare their willingness to proceed. This man is a vampire. Bleh. Okay. The prosecution is ready to is fully prepared. That must be the Reaper of the Bailey. He really does look like fully prepared to dispatch his poor victim to the underworld. Counsel for the defense, you appear to be Eastern. Do you speak English? Huh? Oh, yes, of course. Sorry. But he asked if the defense was ready, and I couldn't be further from ready if I tried. Bleh. Those eyes please me, Nipponese. They shroud your fear, your doubt, your trepidation. They run wild, clinging to some phantom of no ocean of courage. The quintessential look of a sacrificial lamb. A cold shiver just ran down my spine all the way to the tips of my toes. No, Mr. McGilded. Yes, my lord? You stand accused of murder, a capital offense. You could be sent to the gallows if found guilty. Are you quite sure you wish to entrust your defense to this foreigner? As I've always said, my lord, 'tis a grand thing to give opportunities to young. Even if the fella's a student from some little island off in the Far East. It's not the British way to ignore the dangers to yourself and give the... Is it not the British way to ignore the dangers to yourself and give those less fortunate a fair chance? I'd like to think that acts of chivalry to do the great British Empire proud. Listen to McGilded. What a fine gentleman London has him. Do you hear what he donated 5 times the pounds and Mother, please, can we go play on McGilded Park? Donated or bribed? It seems as though everyone in the public gallery is firmly behind Mr. McGilded. That's definitely welcome news, and he certainly has a way with words. I'm surprised he couldn't convince anyone to defend him. Eloquently put, Mr. McGilded, and most laudable sentiments. Now, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, I'm sure I need hardly remind you that you 6 members of the public have been selected for your impartiality. Are you ready to proceed? Yes, my lord. If the task is to send marauders to the gallows where they belong, I am more than ready. Impartiality. Okay. At the manor, the lordship always says we should dispose of rubbish promptly. Naturally, I agree.
How? Any criminals who here will soon be wishing they never set eyes on me. I'm gonna oh my gosh. These are characters. I feel a chill.
Oh, don't mind me, my dears. I'll just be getting on with my knitting. Must finish these mitts for my grandson. Mr. Naruhodo, these people are the jury. Yes, that's something we don't have in Japan yet.
And won't have until... I don't remember the exact history of
Ace Attorney. I believe they had it at one point, and then they lost it, and then there was that one trial with La Mirar that Phoenix tried to implement, and then now it's gone again. That's right, I've only read about it. But here in Great Britain, the court's final verdict depends on the opinions of these 6 jurors. The judge passes sentence according to the law, but the jurors determine guilt based on common sense. So the defendants ultimately judge from 2 completely different points of view. But how exactly do the jurors give their verdict? That I don't know, but I'm sure it will become clear as the trial progresses. Yes.
Prosecutor Francis Sykes? I think it might be Sykes. Yeah. My lord. It's been a number of years since we've seen you here in the courtroom. I thought you renounced your name. Fame. I am known as Reaper of the Bailey, my lord. Infamy rather than fame, I would say. But yes, 5 years has passed since I last spread my wings in this capacity. So, what brings you back? Is there some change of circumstance of which the court should be aware? I lost all the money I earned, gambling it away, and now I have to return to make more money. That or I ran out of blood. I leave that to your imagination, my lord. So the Reaper has been out of action for 5 years. Why did he have to choose today of all days to make a comeback? Don't lose heart, Mr. Naruhodo. As you wish, sir. The court nevertheless welcomes your return. Now then, opening statements, I think. A summary of the case, if you please. Certainly, my lord. As your lordship is aware, this is a case of overwhelming simplicity. We must be the only ones in here who aren't aware. The incident took place in the late evening. 3 days passed. The hour was some minutes after 10. The victim was a maker of building bricks, known in the community as Freist Fired a Mason. Sorry? Freist? He was a very accomplished craftsman. The bricks he fired was said to be almost indestructible.
The victim's corpse was discovered in an omnibus in service on the streets of London at the time. A dagger that had been thrust in the victim's abdomen is believed to be the ultimate cause of death. Here in the autopsy report from the investigating medical officer at Scotland Yard.
Thank you, counsel. I shall accept that and the photograph as evidence. Autopsy report. Looks so much cooler than the vanilla envelope.
And one further item of evidence. The prosecution wishes to submit these as well.
And these are... Good lord! Is that blood, counsel?
Yes, my lord. Seized by a policeman who arrived at the scene.
Oh, this voice is worse for my throat than fun karma. It's not even a voice, it's a... Oh, I need water. Oh man, that was... I need to stop doing that. Okay. Yes, my lord, seized seized by a policeman who arrived at the scene. Oh, boy. Okay. Oh, I'm hurting my throat doing that. These gore-soaked clothes were taken from the hands of the accused when he was arrested. What? Mr. McGilded's gloves had blood on them? Yes, I will accept these as evidence as well. Oh. How did I get into this? I'm backed into a corner before I even started.
Continuing. According to the driver of the omnibus, there were only two passengers traveling inside this vehicle at the time.
Only two?
Obviously, one of the passengers was the deceased brick maker, Mr. Mason.
This poor man doesn't even get his full name in the court record.
The other was the accused, Magnus McGilded.
Well, rather damning circumstances, to say the least. Defendant, what say you?
Well, of course,
I have no recollection of such a thing.
Mr. McGill did.
To be sure, I rode the omnibus that evening. But whenever I'm in a carriage, I'm taken with a fierce tiredness and I always succumb to it.
Are you claiming to have been asleep? 'Tis the motion.
Tis the motion of the carriage, my lord. Lilton, so it is. And when I opened my eyes again, 'twas a desperate sight before me. Body of a man I never laid eyes on before in me life. Now I ask yous, what good-hearted soul wouldn't rush to help a fella bleeding from his stomach? I was about to start worrying about me gloves now, was I? I reached down and gave the man a hand.
So the blood got on the gloves done after the man had been killed.
Unfortunately, that statement of the driver's is only the beginning.
What? That's not all of it?
There were multiple witnesses to the precise moment at which the brickmaker was fatally stabbed. Order! 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 When the killing took place, only the victim and the accused were inside the carriage, and there were witnesses to the crime. This is not just a case of compelling evidence. It's a nail in the coffin for the accused. Whoa. Mike fell. Okay.
Thank you, counsel. The circumstances of the crime have been made quite clear. I think we will hear the testimony from these witnesses first of all.
Your wish is my command.
Bailiff, bring the witnesses to the stand at once.
Shivery McShivery, guy with... fancy facial hair, and the guy with very suspicious top hat. Great.
Witnesses, your names and occupations.
My name is... well, everyone calls me Beppo. I drive an omnibus in the East Wind.
Bruce Fairby. I'm a banker in the city.
My name's... No. This is the worst game because it has too many voices. Or characters for me to voice. Okay. This is like, what? Jury is like 6 people. 1 is silent. 5. This is another 3. 8. There's gonna be 8 people to voice every time. At the very least, 8 people.
My name's First. Lady First. I, make hats for Jan.
That's a terrible voice. Okay. What do I have up my sleeve? I don't have a lot.
My name's First. Lady First. I, make hats for Jan.
Let's begin by confirming the facts. 3 days ago, at a short time after 10 o'clock in the evening, all of you present in the stand were in an omnibus and witness to the aforementioned incident. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Quite right.
Yes. Yes, sir. That's right, sir.
Let's just go with that. Okay. Very well. Very well. Let's proceed with the formal testimonies, please. Each of you will tell the court precisely what you saw.
Witness testimony. What the witnesses saw. It was the last bus of the evening, so I had a few customers. I remember it well.
The victim and the man accused of killing him were sat next to each other inside the bus. Then out of the blue, the accused just reached over and plunged his knife right in his guts.
That's right. He stabbed him. I screamed, I did. I couldn't help it.
This guy has a mimic for a hat.
As soon as I heard the scream, I stopped in my bus, and I saw it too.
Unambiguous testimony, I must say.
Exactly, my lord. These men witnessed the incident in the omnibus with their own eyes.
I'd like to ask a question, if I may. Yes, counsel? Well, this testimony makes absolutely no sense to me whatsoever.
Why not?
Well, the incident took place inside a moving carriage, didn't it?
As has been clearly stated from the outside, yes.
Well, in that case, he doesn't know what a bus is. How could those two witnesses possibly have been seen what happened? There's no way they could have seen the inside of the moving carriage.
How quaint. I'd read that civilization in the Eastern Island nations was a good century behind our own. But you're here in London yourself. Are you really so ignorant about our omnibuses?
Huh?
Tell me, my Nipponese friend, have you ever even traveled on an omnibus?
Well, no. We, only arrived in London this morning.
No matter. I've arranged for us to see for ourselves the actual scene of the crime, that is.
What do you mean? The actual scene? How?
Carriage is to be assigned to be moved after all. Presumably you don't understand that much.
Yes.
The omnibus in which this bloody crime took place is here today, in this very building.
Here? What? The entire carriage?
Bailiff, bring forth the stricken omnibus.
So that's an omnibus. The omnibus. I can't believe they could bring something so enormous in here. Great Britain's courtrooms are amazing.
As you can see, the omnibus is pulled by 2 horses and can carry up to 8 passengers. Four passengers seating it inside an enclosed cabin, and another 4 on the rooftop deck above. Every Londoner knows that the best views of the city's architecture and sights are to be had from the top of an omnibus. And I should point out to our foreign guests that there is a skylight in the roof, allowing a view of the interior from the seats above.
A skylight. Oh.
The penny drops at last, I see. These 2 gentlemen were occupying the rooftop seats on the omnibus when the murder took place. That is how they came to witness the grim incident. Through the skylight.
That makes perfect sense. Well, Counsel, this is a verse. In all my years behind the bench, I've never experienced a crime scene itself being brought into the courtroom.
There are a number of important clues remaining inside the carriage, my lord. I would like to submit the omnibus itself as evidence. That is the prosecution's wish.
Very well. I see no reason why not. The omnibus is hereby formally accepted as evidence. Omnibus has been entered in the court record. I can't believe it. The entire crime scene entered as evidence? Yes! Great Britain is simply extraordinary. I could help myself a lot by giving that omnibus a thorough examination, seeing as it's here. Let us continue with the proceedings then. Your cross-examination, Counsel.
Pray, don't expect us Nippon stray to understand the intricacies of a British court's cross-examination rights.
Alright, my first cross-examination in a British court. Focus, Ryonosuke. Focus. Court record. Gonna check everything out. Da 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 da.
internal hemorrhaging. That's quite simple. I could magnifying glass this, but I think all the obvious things. He's missing a button for one. I don't think the magnifying glass is necessary because they just put it make it obvious enough. Examine these. Bloody blood. It's definitely blood, isn't it? Not the most pleasant sight to be confronted with on our first day in London. Well, nothing will come of grumbling now. No, by the way, is Mr. McGilded right-handed? Yes, I believe so. He was toying with a coin that was in his right hand a little earlier. I mean, it's clearly he said it. It is his gloves, and that is the guy's blood. There's no denying it. Pity. If only he'd been left-handed. I think blood on either glove would be fairly incriminating, really. Indeed. Omnibus. Let's go. Oh, yes, that would make sense. We can't see under it. You can certainly see inside the carriage through this opening, that's for sure. Yes, and there's a lamp in the enclosed cabin, so I'm sure the witnesses would have been able to see quite clearly. That's not good for us. What is this? What is this? What is this? Why is this the Phoenix Wright Omnibus? Nani? Kore wa nan desu ka? Phoenix? Phoenix? Good sir? Why do you have an omnibus? And what's the significance of 418? What's this? What's that? What's this? What's that? What is all of these? Jobmasters, London head office. Strand Street, Old Street, Baker Street. City of... Oh, roof deck. I don't care. No. Let's open it up. Maybe. Blood. That's blood soaked in the seat. Victims, obviously. Yes, and that seat would be clearly
would be clearly visible from the roof deck. Would you really stab someone in full view of other passengers like this, I wonder? Well, it was after dark, and there was a lamp in here, so perhaps the culprit couldn't see anything outside through the skylight. Whichever way you look at it, doesn't seem like it was a planned attack. Notice. There's a poster for the great exhibition that's due to start 6 months from now. There's a lot of focus being drawn to the Crystal Tower, the centerpiece of the whole exposition. Oh, the Crystal Tower. It's under construction already, I believe. People all over London must be fizzing with excitement at the prospect of such a great event. They must be... it feels like the Crystal Tower is gonna die. Be exploded. Okay. This has all been said. Okay. Same poster. Info. This seat looks reasonably soft, but it's rather hard when you sit on it. And only just wide enough for two gentlemen to sit side by side, really. Of course, an English gentlewoman would be dressed in such finery. It would be quite impossible for her to climb up to the roof deck, so she would have to be seated here and here. A woman in a kimono would have the same problem. Women's clothing are very unpractical, aren't they? Indeed. Indeedly do. Yes, I suppose you would have a perfect view of the stabbing. Beppo, Bruce Fairplay, lady first. Alright. Nothing to press there. Next to each other inside the bus.
Hold it!
And you saw them through the skylight in the roof of the carriage? That's right. That's right. I need something else other than beep. That's right. When you sit on the top deck, the window's right there at your feet. There was a lamp on the inside, so I had a pretty good view. The two of them were wearing hats, and I couldn't exactly make out their faces. But there's not a shred of doubt in my mind that it was Mr. McGilded. How can you be so sure? Well, how can I put it politely? Mr. Gilded is a gentleman of rather small stature. I couldn't have mistaken him for anyone else.
Let's not forget that when the vehicle came to a halt, the only people inside the enclosed cabin were the deceased Mr. Mason and Mr. McGilded. There's no room for doubt here.
I really wish there was. You actually saw the exact moment it happened?
Didn't I already testify to didn't I already testify to that? Or are fair and income more hardworking city bankers not considered trustworthy these days?
Oh, no, I didn't mean that. This is no good. I've really got his back up. Perhaps you could just tell us what you saw in a little.
My lord.
Jury number 3? What's the meaning of this?
My mind is made up, my lord. Completely and utterly made up.
Made up about what?
I don't like the stinking rich. Never have. They're always up to something or other that they shouldn't be. Every one of them. And that little leprechaun of a man is no exception. Well, he can't fool me. There's no point in wasting time listening to any more of this. That's my opinion on the matter anyway.
That's precisely what I was about to say.
As the foreman of the jury, it's my duty to set a good example to my fellow jurors.
What is happening here? Magic? Clearly this is magic. Let me see. Ah yes. It seems that that's how the members of jury give their verdicts. With fire? No, Naruhodo, this is magic. Apparently, yes. White for innocent and black for guilty. As the 6 members of the jury make up their minds about the case, one by one, they each cast a ball of fire into the great scales of justice, as we saw a moment ago. So if those enormous scales fall completely to the black side, does that mean... Let's do our very best to make sure that doesn't happen. I'm even more worried than I was before.
Very well. The court acknowledges the change in the jury's stance. Counsel for the defense, please continue with your cross-examination.
This is a nightmare. This is a nightmare.
Hold it!
He stabbed him, you say? And you were sitting up on the roof deck, were you? Yes, that's right, sir. I was up on the roof seats. I remember seeing the little gent sitting next to the fellow that was stabbed. I'd been thinking about a new hat design, you see? But then I happened to look down through the skylight. It was sticking right out from his belly. That huge, great knife.
Excuse me!
That was a mistake. Alright, so when it happened, the only two people in the enclosed cabin area were the victim and the defendant. And, so help me, 3 whole people witnessed the man I'm trying to defend to do the deed. I don't like to be pessimistic, but we do seem to be in a rather difficult situation here. What am I supposed to think here? Is Mr. Gilded really innocent? Or could it be... But before we jump to conclusions, our first task should be to gather information. We need to understand the case much better than we do at the moment. Yes, you're absolutely right. Let's listen to those witnesses' statements again, a little more carefully this time. What exactly did you see? Oh, yes, sir. Well, that would be the passenger, sir. Yes, collapsed on the floor he was.
And by passenger, obviously you are referring to the victim, Mr. Mason, the brick maker.
Passed out on the floor, it seems. And the other passenger had the knife in his hands, like this.
By the other passenger, obviously you're referring to the accused, Mr. Magnus McGilded.
And then he plunges down like this, stabbing the other passenger in the belly. What? My lord, if you'll forgive the interruption.
Juror number 2, go on.
Mr. McGilded is a pillar of society and a gentleman, and a gentleman's word should be sacrosanct. However, those of us in service must know we must accept hard truths. Wait, what are you about to do? Dispose of the rubbish. No. I don't wish to cause offense, but I do like to eradicate all traces of filth and grime. I have painstakingly typed every word uttered here today and crossed our reference to all the facts. As such, I'm now in a position to draw the only logical conclusion.
The only logical conclusion is to wait.
Not again. That's 4 of the 6 jury members who've proposed guilty verdict. There are only 2 left. We've had it. Every time I press those witnesses for more information, I just make the situation worse. Nevertheless, what we need more than anything at the moment is more information. We are still very much in the dark. I suppose I'll just have to keep pressing the witnesses, knowing that more sparks will fly. They will fly. We mustn't give up hope that we'll uncover something that will give us a way to fight back. But alright, I'll keep trying. I can't give up. I just need to keep calm and listen to the witnesses' statements again. It's interesting that they didn't add the fact that he was collapsed on the floor to the testimony.
Hold it!
Yes, I think it was sometime after 10, wasn't it? Oh yes, sir. That's right, sir. Yes. It was cold. It was freezing, in fact. And you had 4 passengers on board at the time. Is that correct? Yes, that's right, sir. Not all traveling at the same time. Same part of the bus, of course. Though, no. And there were no other passengers when the incident took place? No one unlighted, for example? You are quite right there, sir. No other passengers like that. No, none. So nobody fled the scene of the crime then? I have to say, the boss insists on running. On it running, he does. Every evening, the last bus of the day. But I do wonder sometimes, altogether, if it's worthwhile. Yes, sir, so sorry to say. What do you mean by that? Well, with it all being so cold and everything, and only making 20 pence on the run, you see? Yes, I spend much of the time at the pub on the way home, just trying to warm up again. It does feel like it's dangerous to press too much, but I don't know.
it! Hold it! Hold it!
Did I not press this before? Okay, well.
Is this the knife you saw?
Oh, good grief. That's the very one, sir. That's the very one, sir. Is that...
Yes, Count.
Yes, Counsel. This is the blade that was driven into the victim's belly, like a stake through the heart.
That is a blade of considerable size, Counsel.
It is. And furthermore, the scabbard is blazoned prominently with a certain initial. The letter M, which seems oddly familiar.
Please, no.
M for Agnes, Magnus, perhaps, or McGilded. Possibly. Take your pick. It seems this particular big name in London made a magnificent mistake.
Objection!
But there are M's everywhere. Yes, like Mason.
Objection!
This blade is far too extravagant for poor brickmaker to have owned. No, this is a weapon of murder almost. This weapon of murder almost certainly belongs to the accused.
Not conclusive, but certainly compelling, counsel. Murder weapon has been entered into court.
My lord, I wish to speak. Yes, juror number 5. I take it that you two, as a master of the London Guild of Coachmen, the idea of a murder being committed in one of the city's carriages is utterly abhorrent to me. It wouldn't be right to make a decision before hearing all the facts, though, I said to myself. But I've heard enough now. The horse has bolted, as they say.
No, please, just keep an open mind just a little longer. Yeah, now, Silver Blaze, finish its inside. Beppo is a long-standing member of the guild, and I trust what the man says.
Thank you, sir. You're too kind, sir.
This is too unkind, sir. Which now means that 5 jurors
Agree to condemn this man. Madam Juror number 6.
Yes, dear? What can I do for you?
You have heard the testimonies of the witnesses in the stand.
Oh, yes, I certainly have. Still got my hearing, you know.
Then, pray tell, why are you yet to pronounce your leaning?
Well, dear, the thing is, I'm a creature of habit, me. I always go to the park at around this time of day and sit on a nice bench and get on with my knitting. There's a lovely little park just near where I live. McGilded Park, it's called. The gentleman donated it to the city, you know, to put a smile on Londoners' faces, he said. I can't imagine such a fine young gentleman would have it in him to take another man's life. He's always doing one things to the city. That's right, a man like that one stabs someone, surely. Mother, may we go to the McGilded Public Library later and borrow some more books?
How many Londoners live with their heads in the clouds? Do you people not know? What kind of man Agnes McGilded really is?
What kind of man is he?
The philanthropist Magnus McGilded has enough wealth to purchase the entire city he claims to value so highly. But where did that wealth come from? Your client is a Shylock, sir, and one of the very darkest of souls.
What?
Stone the crows!
Miss McGilded lends money at extortionate rates of interest, so his victims have no hope of repaying him. When they default, he takes possession of everything they own. He is a vulture that preys on the weak.
I've never heard any mention of that before.
Your faculties have deserted you, I'm sure, madam. So has the fire not crossed your mind? What a man wealthy enough to buy London in its entirety, not have a carriage of his own? What possible reason could this man to have make use of a public omnibus service?
You're not saying that.
The victim, a poor brickmaker, had next to nothing to his name, save considerable financial liability. It will come to no surprise that his creditor was the accused, Magnus McGilded. But let it also be known that the very day Mr. Mason was killed was the final repayment date for his debts.
Good gracious.
The brickmaker was destitute. He had lost his house. He had not a shilling to which to repay his debts. And in the end, this pitiful soul had this very last thing he owned taken from him, his life, by the merciless philanthropist pretender Magnus McGilded.
I don't believe it.
If I might add something briefly,
Mr. Sato?
you claim that the victim had been lent money by Mr. McGilded.
But where's this evidence to prove your claim? To support your claim?
Blood. Pray forgive the discourtesy of filling my hollow chalice in a court of law.
Aha, there it is. Lord Van Zyke's hollowed chalice.
How can this be considered acceptable?
But I find myself in an unexpectedly good humor. I had heard ladies from the Far East could show a great courage, but I didn't expect to experience it myself.
As a judicial assistant to the defense, I'm simply doing my job.
What a pity that your display of courage is in vain. This is the debtor's ledger, which details all monies loaned by the accused. You will find the victim's name clearly recorded inside.
Oh,
Allow me to present this ledger as evidence. And pray forgive the discourtesy of raising my chalice in toast to the enigmatic East at the same time.
A marvelous toast, Counsel. I would gladly accept this new evidence.
catalog of people who own it.
Ah yes, 20 guineas.
I'm just gonna keep calling it Genyas. This portfolio must contain all sorts of secrets from London's gentry. Oh dear, do you really think we ought to look inside? Well, it's not as though we know any of London's gentry personally, is it? Apart from our great detective friend, perhaps. Actually, I wonder. I assure you will not find Mr. Holmes' name inside. Well, let's see what we find. This is a very cool book. Gosh, it's crammed full of gentlemen's names, isn't it? Well, I suppose they're probably not all gentlemen at all, are they? After all, not everyone in this country is well off. Ah, goodness! What is it? Look at this! Do you see the name here? Bruce Fairplay. Should that mean something to me? It does sound strangely familiar, actually. Bruce Fairplay, the witness testifying at this very moment. Oh yes, of course, the banker. Why is his name in here? Ah, he borrowed 20 guineas, didn't he? And look, the repayment date is fast approaching. It's possible that this is just a coincidence, of course, but this is very useful information.
Yes, 20 guineas. The victim owed a considerable sum.
And the accused made quite certain he had ample recompense.
Well, it would seem I've had the wool pulled over my eyes.
Regrettably, madam. That is the modus operandi of the accused.
And it's such a pretty little park too. What a scoundrel. Still, maybe it was all for the best.
Wait a minute. Let's think about this a little more.
I don't stand for nonsense.
That was it. The last juror's decision.
According to this Encyclopedia of British Law, when all members of the jury have concluded that the defendant is guilty, court proceedings are suspended, and the presiding judge will deliver the final verdict and sentence. That's what it says here.
The final verdict. It's over then.
Oh! There's a footnote, though.
A footnote?
However, the defense...
All 6 members of the jury are now in agreement in this case. Allow me to
convey my respect for your swift and righteous decision.
According to the laws of this country, I will now conclude this trial by delivering my final verdict. I trust there are no objections.
Mr. Sato, just tell me one thing. Oh, yes?
You were in the middle of saying something before. The footnote in your Encyclopedia of British Law. However, the defense... What did it say next?
Oh, yes, of course. One moment. When all the members of the jury have concluded that the defendant is guilty, Court proceedings are suspended and the presiding judge will deliver the final verdict and sentence. Then the footnote says, however, the defense has the right to demand a summation examination of the jurors at this point. Summation examination?
Objection!
A summation examination. From which century has the tome? Has that tome you have there been resurrected?
Ah!
Judging from the binding, I would say that book is at least 50 years old. Any modern text on British law wouldn't even give such an antiquated procedure mention. It's a relic, long forgotten, and certainly no longer practiced. So you're out of luck.
Oh. What even is it, Miss Susato? The so-called summation examination. Oh, one moment and I'll read about it.
You would demand the right to a procedure before you even understand what it entails. Huh. Typical Nipponese.
Alright, Mr. Naruhodo, I think I understand. It seems that under this procedure, we would be able to appeal to the members of the jury. To do what, exactly? Appeal to them to change their leaning and reverse their decisions. It says here that if successful, the proceedings of the trial must be resumed. Make them reverse their decisions.
Yes, in times gone by, barristers would use a summation examination to attempt to influence the jury's decision. But that procedure became something of formality, with no practical benefit, really. So it rather fell out of use.
I wonder why.
Because it was devoid of purpose. Changing just one member of the jury's mind would be hard enough, let alone several. No self-respecting defense barrister would even assert his right to try it in this day and age.
Still, I don't see any mention of the proceeding actually being formally revoked.
What are you suggesting?
I'm suggesting that although it may be antiquated and largely forgotten, it isn't yet extinct. What do you think, Mr. Naruhodo? A summation examination, our last possible option. Do we assert our right to carry it out or admit defeat? The defense wishes to assert its right to a summation examination, my lord.
Objection!
London is the capital city of the most powerful nation on the earth. We have a duty to the world to exemplify the very highest standards of judicial procedure. Summation examinations are embarrassment that should remain buried.
Objection!
But if it's our right, it's our right. I believe it could prove vital in this trial.
The
defense's petition is perfectly valid. The court will proceed with the summation examination.
This is madness.
Foreman, are you and the remainder of the jury ready? Well, I'm not, There was no mention of this in the letter I received, you see, so... All members of the jury would be asked to explain on what grounds they have reached a decision. On what grounds? You must all justify your decisions and explain why you believe the defendant to be guilty. Well, my lord, you are rather putting us on the spot.
This is most irregular. No mention was made of this before. I don't really hold with all this justifying, Lord.
That seems to have thrown the jurors off.
It seems none of them have experienced this before.
Alright then, the summation examination. A defense procedure no practicing lawyer has attempted for years, is it? Well, just maybe. Might be the opportunity we've been looking for, to turn this trial around. So be it then. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, the court hereby calls upon you to state the grounds on which you find the defendant, Magnus McGilded, guilty of this most serious crime.
Due to sole findings.
Jurors' contentions.
There was no one else inside the carriage at the time, so it has to have been him. I trust the driver. He has an excellent memory, it seems. 4 passengers with fares totaling 20 pence. He stuck the chap next to him just like this. Brazen, I must say, absolutely brazen. I have simply typed and collated all the statements made thus far and drawn the logical conclusion.
£4. Thank you, good sir. You can trust the guild. Fair fares is our motto. We haven't raised prices above 4 pence for years.
The scoundrel! Stabbing that poor man on the floor. It beggars belief.
I'm starting to wish I hadn't pushed for this now.
Some of the jurors don't seem to have wonderfully formed arguments, though, do they?
Well, let's see what we can do. We need to get these 6 people to change their minds. I'll have to throw everything I can at them, and use some very persuasive language.
Just a moment, Mr. Naruhodo. According to my book, that's not quite how it works.
Oh? I thought I was going to have to follow their icy minds with some heartwarming rhetoric about the defendant.
Unfortunately, once the jurors have decided the defendant is guilty, they're unlikely to heed anything the defense says. But then, they've reached their conclusions by their own reasoning, you see. Your pleas will sound like excuses. In fact, it could recoil on you. The more you try to persuade them, the more entrenched they may become. Then what on earth am I supposed to do? Oh dear, I'm just citing what I've read about the British law, Mr. Naruhodo.
Right. I'm sorry. Do you have any idea how to make this work then?
Well, from what I can understand, the key to this procedure is using the jurors' own words to make your arguments.
What do you mean?
Well, the 6 members of the jury are randomly selected members of the public. They may appear to be present in a united front, but the truth is, they're complete strangers who happen to find themselves here in the courtroom together.
And that's the way to break them down, you mean?
Yes, exactly. We must listen very carefully to what each member of the jury says, and see if we can identify any contradictory statements. If we can, then we contrast the statements and pit the corresponding jurors against each other. I see. So it's contradictions in what two or more jurors say that we're looking for. In a way then, this is similar to a regular cross-examination. Oh, yes, I suppose you're right. Find contradictions in their statements and pit the jurors against one another to break them down. Alright, I might be able to pull this off. No, that's not right. I have to pull this off. Can we start with the proceedings, counsel? I would ask you to take the stand for this. I'm expecting a clear and concise rebuttal. Yes, my lord. My lord? Jury examinations. Defense's rebuttal. Alright. 4 passengers, 20 pence. Oh, this is so cool!
Objection!
Those two statements clearly contradict each other. They do? Explain yourself, counsel. Me? Oh dear, what have I said? I swear on Silverblaze's main and name, I haven't the first idea you're talking about. According to the group testimony we've heard so far, there were 4 passengers on the omnibus on the night in question, and according to the coachman, Mr. Beppo, he took 20 pence in fares. Quite right. I have those precise details typed neatly here in front of me. And juror number 5 also told us the following. The fare for the omnibus is always 4 pence. That is a fair and convenient single price, just the way London's carriages should be operated. But that doesn't add up at all. In fact, it leaves a glaring discrepancy in the facts. Why, man? Why? 4 passengers paying 4 pence each. If you do the multiplication... Ah! It would be 16 pence. Exactly. As I said, it doesn't add up. The figures are different. By 4 pence, in fact. Or precisely, 1 person's fare. 1 person's fare? Yes. In other words, on the omnibus that night, it's distinctly possible there was another passenger we've heard nothing about. Good gracious. This can't be right. The coachmen of the guild are good honest men, one and all. Trustworthiness is our watchword. The figures your coachman claims most certainly does not add up. Your watchword, good sir, is a fallacy. I beg your pardon? Mr. Guildmaster, I think you ought to consider that if this trial were to end now, the news would surely spread all over London. The news that one of your coachmen tried to hide the fact that he lets nefarious characters ride his omnibus. Alright then, how do I make it so this miserable trial doesn't end, Well, according to my book here, you simply launch a ball of fire into the innocent side of the set of scales.
Now hold your horses there, coachman. We're all in agreement. Why do you have to go and... Wait till I get my hands on you, Beppo. This is all very irritating.
Begging your pardon, sir, but sir, I'm going to do the same.
For the love of Mike, not you as well.
A penny can be the difference between a smile and a tear, after all. I certainly can't put my trust in someone who doesn't follow my exacting standards in financial matters.
Oh, really?
I, for one, think it's only proper we hear from the witnesses again. Oh, well done, Mr. Naruhodo. You did it. If we can manage to change 2 more jurors' minds, we can force the trial to continue.
2 more. Actually.
There's something else that's bothering me about a couple of their assertions. Then that's where you must strike next.
So I need to pit 2 more jurors against each other and show that there's another contradiction in their assertions.
Exactly! You can do it!
Well, the scales of justice have shifted, but they still weigh heavy on the side of guilt. Counsel, you have the floor again. Continue with your summation examination.
Okay. I can still press them. But I don't think I need to.
Objection!
Those 2 statements are completely contradictory. What? Explain, counsel, post haste.
Oh, dearie me! I was only knitting a jumper for my other half.
What is all
this claptrap? What is contradictory even mean, I ask you?
We've heard from more than one witness that they allegedly saw the actual moment when the defendant stabbed the victim. Now, out of curiosity, juror number 3.
What? Can't you see I'm busy here?
How would you say the defendant stabbed the victim? What sort of motion was it?
Ha! Want to test me? Want to test me, do you? It was like this. Stuck the fellow next to him without even getting up. Just like the prim banker said.
Yes, that was Mr. Fairplay's testimony. Quite true. Now then, juror number 6.
Oh, is that me? What is it? What can I do for you, young man?
How would you say that the defendant stabbed the victim, madame?
Oh, well, dear, as far as I understand it, it was like this. He stabbed the poor man after he collapsed on the floor. The coachman said so.
Now, don't move. Take a look at these 2 jurors. He stuck the fellow next to him without even getting up. And he stabbed the poor man after he collapsed on the floor. Well, I never. They're stabbing in totally different directions.
What? Bless my stitches, what a muddle!
What this tells us is that there's a strong possibility one of the witnesses isn't telling the truth.
Oh! But why? Why in the dickens would they lie?
I don't know that yet, but what I do know is that if the trial ends at this point, we may never find out. We may never know the real truth. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, can you really let that happen in all good conscience?
Lies, you say? Oh, dearie me. I can't abide people telling lies.
The scales... I don't believe it.
Wait! Now hear this, my fellow jurors. I warn you, you cannot listen to this man. Look at him in his black suit. He's clearly some devious Eastern sorcerer using his magic on us all.
And in the future, everyone gets a nice black suit. It's just standard. If I could use magic, do you really think I'd be putting myself through all of this?
Answer me this, Dark Jinx.
Huh? Me?
What exactly is the problem? What if two witnesses have slightly different recollections of the events?
What of it?
Let's say the Shylock did stab the victim as he sat next to him on the omnibus. And this young Danny saw him do it. And let's say the victim collapsed on the floor and then the Shylock stabbed him again. And this old lady saw him do it. Well, what's to say it didn't happen like that, hmm? Who are you calling a dandy, sir? Why, I should take this knife to you. Who are you calling old? Why, I should take this needle to you.
They're ready to kill each other now. But could the foreman of the jury be right? Did the two witnesses see two different moments of the same crime? Unfortunately, Mr. Foreman.
What is it, you Dark Jinx? Come on, out with it.
What you're suggesting is impossible. It's out of the question.
What are you talking about, man? How could you possibly say that? You do realize I'm only doing my job. As foreman of the jury, I have a responsibility to steer everyone in the right direction. So where's your evidence, man? That's what we want to see. I say the two witnesses saw two different moments of the same crime. If you say that's out of the question, show me some proof.
Looks like the only way I'm going to convince him is to present him with something he can't dismiss. Some irrefutable hard evidence. As you wish. What? I'll give you the proof. It's out of the question that the two witnesses saw two different moments of the same crime, as proven by...
Take that!
This is the victim's autopsy report.
According to what's written here, Mr. Mason was stabbed in the abdomen. Only once.
Ah! Only once!
It's quite simple. The victim was stabbed precisely one time. Which means these witnesses couldn't possibly have seen it happen 2 different times.
Alright, I concede defeat.
Wait, that means 4 jurors are now leaning not guilty. We've done it, Mr. Naruhodo. We've won! She's so cute.
What are you playing at, you dandy fool? Shut your trap, sir. No one deceives me. But we had a consensus. I said shut your trap. I know a liar when I see one. And if the chap ever dares to cross the threshold of my shop, I'll take this razor blade and shave every last hair off his head.
Oh, this weirdo. Oh, this man. Huh. Oh, gosh. No. Stop it. Stop it. Please tell me he's a barber. Well, in a quite remarkable turn of events, the defense's summation examination has flipped the balance of the scales of justice. The jurors now stand at 2 for guilty and 4 for not guilty. Accordingly, there is no longer a large enough majority among the jury for me to adjudicate, and the trial must continue. I hereby ask the defense, prosecution, and witnesses to return to their places, and I call upon you to continue to pursue the truth. So, Lord Van Eycks, please continue to substantiate the case for the prosecution, if you please.
Stain your gloves.
Having savored the rich aroma of the carmine contents of this hallowed chalice, it may seem crushed to dust. Pray forgive the discourtesy.
Lord Van Eycks. Is it cold in here or is it just me?
As your antiquated tone no doubt says, the prosecution may not speak during a summation examination. So I honored a deathly silence and listened to the charade. It seems I overestimated the intelligence of the jury. Well, no matter. There is no way. So hard to prove as a self-evident truth, it would seem. No. And why else would we grace the courtroom with our presence after all? So, let us proceed to the next round of battle. Bring forth the witnesses once more. Witnesses, I trust you heard the summation examination. We have just had to endure. Oh yes, sir. That I did, sir.
Of course I heard it.
Oh, yes, sir. I heard it.
You, sir, on the end, the coachman. I believe it's Beppo.
Yes, sir. My lord, sir.
If it transpires that in your previous testimony, you were attempting to veil the presence of a fifth passenger on your omnibus, you will be found guilty of perjury. You advise to bear that in mind, sir.
Oh, mio Dio.
Now then, witnesses, I hereby call on you to testify before the court again. You will explain the various misgivings brought to our attention by the defense's summation examination.
I only carried 4 passengers that night. I swear it, but
Well, I for one was told I had to pay 5 pence for the bus.
he fiddled us on the fare, he did. And then I saw that blood-curdling sight as well. It's all too much.
I tell you, I saw Meg Gilded stabbing that man. Everything I saw before stands.
Oh, yes. He stabbed him, he did. I think so, yes.
Counsel, make sense of this for me, please.
The Phantom Fifth passenger conjured into existence by my learned dear Eastern friend never existed. The confusion has arisen from the coachman's sly little cousinage.
Beppo, explain yourself.
I'm so terribly sorry, Guild Master. The guild's fare is 4 pence across the board. You know that. Am I to understand that you have been overcharging our passengers by a penny a fare? It's so cold. Oh, and the last run of the day is always half empty.
You have been dishonest, coachman.
I'm so sorry.
You're a disgrace, Beppo. A disgrace!
Your selfish actions have brought dishonor to the entire guild. If I may, sir? I had to pay 10 pence on the bus just last week.
What?
4 passengers at 5 pence each is Yes, 20 pence. I've done the arithmetic 10 times already, but I just can't make the result come out differently. No, that figures.
Well, it would appear that one of the aforementioned misgivings has already been explained. So, counsel for the defense, your cross-examination, if you please. We've already had the pleasure
of a protracted summation examination today. I see you intend to continue the parlor games.
Absolutely.
Okay. I don't think this is important. Neither is this.
Hold it!
Alright. This blood-curdling sight. You mean the murder, I presume? Yes, sir.
A loathsome sight. No one should have to witness the horror in the eyes of a man the moment his life is taken.
Oh, well, not exactly, sir. I mean, I didn't exactly see the exact moment the gent was stabbed.
Good gracious, really?
We have another witness who did, however. The banker has already testified to it.
But Mr. First didn't actually see the point at which the victim was killed. That may turn out to be very significant. I heard the banker gent next to me take a sharp intake of breath, see? That's when I looked through the glass. That's when I heard the... It's when I saw the horrible blade poking out from its belly. All covered in blood. Every time I see the knife now, I can't help screaming. Every time I see a knife, no. Wow, that's... Even when I'm eating. That's super unfortunate for him. Okay, let's press this. So he saw the defendant, Mr. McGilded, stabbing the victim, Mr. Mason, who was sitting next to him. That's what I said, isn't it? It was bothering me before, this was. For just a moment, he hesitated before answering the question. Anyway, there were only two of them inside the carriage, wasn't there?
There has been much talk of a fifth passenger, but as yet, zero evidence.
Then what are we wasting all this time for, eh? It's black and white. This man's guilty. Or you really hope he is. So that you don't have to pay him. Something about Mr. Fairplay's testimony just jars with me. I wish I could work out what it was.
Hold it!
Earlier, you testified that you saw the moment when the defendant allegedly stabbed the victim, didn't you? Yes, that's right. You said that the victim was on the floor and described the assailant holding the knife in an ice pick grip. I suppose I'm rid of, yes, put the cart before the horse, maybe.
What's this?
Well, I'm quite sure about most of it. I was driving the horses when I heard a scream from the seats on the roof deck. Oh, I expect that was me, sir. Then when I turned around, yes, I saw it through the skylight. The gentleman was on the floor, the knife was sticking up out of his midriff. And the fellow holding the handle was a famous man, yes. So, in short, you didn't see the moment when the victim was actually stabbed at all? I really thought I did, but when I go over it again in my head, no, I suppose I didn't actually see the precise moment of the stabbing, did I? Okay, so I can stop looking around because all this happens.
Excuse me!
Good to know. Do you have something to say about that, Mr. Fairplay? Now listen to me. I know what you're thinking. You didn't really see the exact moment the fellow was stabbed. What are the chances of that? Are you asking me or telling me? He's getting flustered. Maybe I'm able to extract some new information from him if I answer him cleverly. Could he have just happened to see the exact moment the crime was committed? Well, it is a little hard to believe, certainly. Unless you spend your time peeping through a skylight on the top of an omnibus, that is. Peeping? I'm a respectable city banker, I'll have you know. And I know what I saw. I remember it as clear as Ballarat's day. It was a grim scene, I don't mind telling you.
Thank you, Mr. Fairplay.
Oh, excuse me if I was getting a little hot on the collar. On the collar there, my lord.
I would like you to supplement your testimony with a clear statement about exactly what you saw.
Oh, I can tell you. I can do that, alright? I'll tell you just how grim it was. Did you think I'd forget the sight of those blood-soaked hands after the butcher stabbed the man? Blood-soaked, you say? I think I'm good to present this here.
Objection!
Blood-soaked hands? Well, I admit the soak might be laying it on a little thick, but anyway, there was definitely blood all over them. Both of them were covered in it.
Well, I'm very sorry to disagree, Mr. Fairplay, but that's more than a little peculiar.
What?
Here are the gloves worn by the defendant, Mr. McGilded, on the night in question.
Oh, yes, right.
There certainly does appear to be a sizable dark-colored stain there. But, as I'm sure you can clearly see, it's only the right hand glove. That is... In short, Mr. Fairplay, your testimony is inconsistent.
Yeah. But no, that can't be right. So you're a liar here then. Ah. That's right. You were quite clear about that. You said it was both hands.
Mr. Fairplay, if your last statement was a lie, it calls your entire testimony into question. You say you saw the moment the victim was stabbed, but is that really the truth?
Objection!
It was a simple mistake. You can't justify accusing this man of lying. Yes, it was both hands. It wasn't both hands. It was only one. But the fact remains. The victim's blood was on the accused.
Objection!
No. Mr. Fairplay categorically stated that he saw blood all over both hands, which means there's a strong possibility that the witness was deliberately trying to mislead the court.
Gah! Why? I'm a city banker, for pity's sake. My word should be the gold standard. I'm a gentleman, not some gutter snipe. Upstanding members of society don't prevaricate. Meaning
Speak or act in an offensive way. No, that's exactly what you're doing. Oh, God, sir. He's claiming to have no reason to lie. But is that really the case?
Mr. Naruhodo, if we had some evidence to explain why Mr. Fairplay might be lying, it could turn the tide in this trial completely. Something to show this man has a compelling reason to lie in his testimony. I have the evidence!
My lord. Yes, counsel?
The defense is ready to present evidence.
By Jove. Are you sure?
Yes, evidence that will clearly demonstrate why Mr. Fairplay has reason to lie in his testimony.
Ah! Very well. I hereby call on the defense to present its evidence.
The evidence that demonstrates a motive for the witness's alleged description of the court. Description to the court. Debtor's ledger. This is the list of the debtors who owe money to Mr. McGilbert.
Yes. A list of innocent victims crippled by the accused's extortion.
The point is, among the names of these debtors is your name, Mr. Bruce Fairplay.
What? Mr. Fairplay, are you currently indebted financially to the accused?
No, well, it's barely worth calling. Barely worthy of being called a debt. According to this ledger, you owe 20 guineas. Not an inconsiderable sum of money, wouldn't you say?
Well, what of it?
Let's suppose Mr. McGilbert were to be found guilty of murder. What would become of your debt in that case?
These documents state that the loan agreement is forged between two individual parties. Therefore, were the creditor, the defendant here, to be sentenced to a capital punishment, all outstanding debts which were owed to him would be annulled. They would cease to exist.
Cease to exist?
Mr. Fairplay, is it not the case that you claimed in your testimony to have seen something you never in fact saw, in a devious attempt to annul your debt of 20 guineas to the defendant?
Order! Mr. Bruce Fairplay.
Yes, my lord.
Lord.
Let me ask you again. And be aware that your answer may have most serious implications upon your future, sir. Did you or did you not see the precise moment in time at which the defendant is alleged to have thrust a knife into the victim?
Your silence speaks volumes. You did not tell the truth to in your testimony.
Alright, let's not make a melodrama out of this. Perhaps I did overstate the truth in a pinch.
A pinch?
But it makes no difference. I definitely remember seeing blood on Miss McGilbert's hands. Both of them.
And yet, only one of the defendant's gloves, which we have here as evidence, is stained.
So you keep saying.
I wonder if I may be allowed to speak, sir?
Go ahead, Mr. First.
Well, the thing is, I think I remember seeing it myself, as it happens. Seeing what? The blood, sir, on the assailant's hands. I think, yes, I'm almost quite certain it was both of his hands, not just one. What? What?
It would appear that we're going to need further testimony from all you witnesses. This time, I would like to know precisely what you did and what you did not see. Do I make myself perfectly clear?
Yes.
Mr. Naruhodo, this is good news. The course of the trial seems to have shifted slightly at last. Yes. Might finally have a chance to turn things around here. Oh my gosh, another one. It's been 3 hours. Okay. We keep going. What the witnesses really saw. At least this music is a bopper, so we are gonna be coming to the end of this trial this part of the trial very soon.
There was blood on both hands of the assailant. I sincerely and distinctly remember that. However, I suppose you might say I didn't see the exact moment of the stabbing transpired, if that matters.
I remember seeing the knife, and I remember seeing both of the attackers' hands with blood on them.
Excuse me.
I didn't exactly see anything myself, no. No, not until I heard that scream.
Anyway, the fact remains, there can't have been anyone else inside that carriage, or we would have seen. Well, lo and behold, in truth of fact, not one of you was witness to the crucial moment of the crime, to the crucial moment the crime was perpetrated.
I apologize, my lord, but honestly,
There was no one else inside the carriage, and the man's blood was covered in blood. Man's hands were covered in blood. That much incriminating evidence is tantamount to saying we saw the man do it. That's really not what testimony is about.
let us examine the interior of the omnibus once more. The victim's fresh blood is clearly visible on the seat, corroborating the witnesses' accounts. In other words, there is no substantial nor significant change in the facts of this case.
Very well. Your cross-examination, please, counsel. Your cross-examination, please, counsel.
Yes, my lord.
My lord.
What the witnesses really saw. Both hands. we still haven't established whether it was a side stabbing or if it was a from the top stabbing. And that missing button. Okay, the driver said he saw it from here, which seems unlikely if this guy was sitting right here. So there's that. What else? Let's just press everything. No, the evidence tells us otherwise. We have the gloves the defendant was wearing on the night in question in the court record.
I'm aware of that, sir, but nevertheless, I know what I saw and I stand by it. The man had blood on both his hands.
He's defiant, even though in the face of hard evidence. He's steadfastly refusing to admit he might be mistaken about what he saw. But why?
Your reasoning is dire.
One hand or two.
One hand or two. The salient point remains unchanged. Minutes after the grim crime, the victim's blood dripped guiltily from the accused fingers.
Hold it!
Don't try to downplay this. Whether or not you saw the exact moment of the crime is a matter of fundamental importance, as you well know.
But for crying out loud, we all know that no one else could possibly have done it. I was just trying to save us all some time.
You have a loan of 20 guineas outstanding with the defendant, do you not? Had you hoped to release yourself from that financial burden by ensuring the defendant was found guilty?
That's not entirely not what I was hoping for. I just lost a little guinea or 10 when I backed the wrong horse on the derby, that's all. I was going to win it all back. There's a fixture this weekend, that's a sure thing.
A little guinea or 10?
I'm a banker. No one bats an eye if I borrow a little spending money for the weekend.
I think you may have revealed more about your character than you bargained for, sir. This witness's scruples are not on trial.
This witness's scruples are not on trial here. Proceed to the next witness.
Is that really how it's supposed to work? Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy.
Hold it!
You definitely saw that too? Both blood on both hands?
Yes, sir. I mean,
I know what you're going to say. Only one of Mr. McGilded's gloves has any signs of blood on it.
That's right.
The thing is, as far as I remember, sir, when I looked down and saw Mr. McGilded sitting beside the other fellow, I don't believe he was wearing any gloves, sir.
He wasn't wearing these gloves?
That's correct, sir. And I saw the blood on both his bare hands quite clearly.
It's true that the dark colored stain on the dark leather gloves wouldn't have been easy to see.
I should point out that the police officer who apprehended the accused on the night in question reported that there was no trace of blood on Mr. McGilded's gloved hands.
There wasn't blood on his hands? This is puzzling indeed. This must be significant somehow. I'm sure of it.
Hold it!
You didn't see anything?
Oh yeah.
Oh, yes, sir. That is to say, sir. No, sir, I didn't. Very sorry about what I said before, sir. Very sorry, yes. It was very wrong of me to make up stories and to say I saw him stab the man. Wouldn't you agree, sir?
I know what you're insinuating, but I certainly wasn't making up stories.
Still, to say you saw nothing isn't right either, is it? No, sir, I saw nothing at all. But, Mr. Beppo, you were driving your horses. At the very least, you must have enjoyed a good view of London streets, no? Oh, please. You didn't even see that? It was so cold that night. You see, it was all I could do to keep from passing out, sir. Yes, my head was fairly frozen solid, so sorry to say, sir.
It would seem prudent to avoid travel on the last omnibus service of London's cold winter nights. Beppo!
Hold it!
And everything you saw of this incident was through the skylight on the roof of the omnibus?
That's right. It was fierce. Oh my god, my voice. Okay. It was fiercely cold that night, but the glass wasn't frosted over.
Oh yes, I remember shivering. It was so bitter.
Which rather begs the question of why the pair of you were sitting on the roof deck in the first place.
Well, I don't know about this young fellow, but I couldn't enter the cabin.
Oh? Why not?
It was locked from the inside. I tried knocking, but no one opened the door.
It was locked?
That's right. And it's a public bus service, for pity's sake. That's not what I call fair play.
Yes, I had exactly the same experience.
I tried knocking, but the gent inside just gestured at me to clear off. So I had no choice but to climb up on the roof deck and look down longingly in the warm cabin below.
Well, I can assure you I wasn't just looking down. I was glaring, long and hard.
And that's precisely why I can tell you with absolute confidence that if there was anyone else in that cabin, I would have noticed.
Unequivocal.
Unequivocal, I would say.
I'm not sure about these two witnesses. Could they really have seen everything inside the cabin through the skylight? Allow me to confirm one thing, Mr. Fairplay. You were riding this omnibus and witnessed the events in the cabin through the skylight on in the floor of the upper deck. Is that right?
That's right. That's right, yes.
In that case, there is a portion of the cabin interior that would have been out of sight from you.
What? By golly, Riley?
Obviously, at this stage, we can't say for sure, but the possibility cannot be denied. That's at the time of the incident, there could have been another passenger in the enclosed cabin of the omnibus.
Objection!
Enough hypothetical meandering, my Nipponese friend. The prosecution demands that you substantiate your claims. After all, the scene of the crime is here, in the flesh.
Very well. I will uphold the prosecution's demand. You will identify the area of this cross-sectional plan of the omnibus. Where exactly in the omnibus are you suggesting that the potential extra passenger could have been situated? Both rows of the seats on the roof face the direction of travel, whereas the seats in the enclosed cabin face each other, which means the visible part of the cabin, which passengers on the roof deck can see through the skylight, is as I've drawn here. Ah.
That's right, my lord, as you can see. The seat opposite on the one which the victim and his attacker were sitting is obscured from view. In other words, if someone had been sitting on that seat, it's quite possible that these witnesses would have been completely unaware of it.
Arr!
Objection!
It's quite possible some phantom was sitting there. You Nipponese have a forbidding habit of obscuring the truth with ambiguity.
I concur with the prosecution's rejoinder. In British court of law, evidence is paramount. I cannot entertain this conjecture, counsel. That is, unless you are able to put a name to this mysterious passenger to whom you allude.
Can you, Mr. Naruhodo?
I honestly don't know. Who could it have been? Who could have been on the other seat, which was out of sight from the witnesses on the roof deck? I understand, my lord. The defense would like to put forward a name.
You are a fool. The response was a desperate attempt by a man who has no notion of his limitations. A toast to hard lessons not yet learnt.
Let us not delay, counsel. The offense is still to name the passenger on the other seat. This could be it. This is the chance I've been waiting to turn the trial in my favor. On that night, on the night of the murder, the person occupying the seat in the omnibus cabin that was obscured from view.
Take that!
The passenger in the enclosed cabin that the witnesses on the roof deck failed to see has to have been Mr. Magnus McGilded.
Mr. McGilded?
What are you talking about, counsel? That's the name of the defendant.
Objection!
Dang.
If I desecrate this chamber by smashing my hollow chalice, do forgive the discourtesy.
Lord Van Sykes, whatever.
People talk of those tiny island nations in the Far East as having a learning and a culture of their own. But I see they use the terms ill-advisedly.
What are you trying to say?
Let me explain in terms that even a student of an artless backwater such as yourself might understand. When the bloody scene unfolded, the victim and his assailant were sitting side by side. Multiple witnesses have attested to the fact. It's the very premise on which this case is built.
Objection!
But that premise may be wrong.
What?
If the victim really was sitting beside Mr. McGilded, it creates an inconsistency that can't be reconciled in any way. What inconsistency, counsel? The defendant's gloves, my lord. Both witnesses made the same testimony. They claimed that there was blood on both hands of the person sitting next to the victim.
Objection!
Yet we know the truth to be otherwise. Only one glove bears the gory remains.
Objection!
The point is, even in the face of this irrefutable evidence, both witnesses have maintained their stance. Yes, the testimony remains unchanged. Exactly. They both adamantly swear that they clearly remembered seeing blood on both hands of the assailant. In short, their memory of offense is correct, and their testimony reveals the truth. It was somebody else sitting beside the victim that night, a third party we have yet to identify. And the victim's blood was on that passenger's hands, both of them.
Objection!
And who was this third party?
Obviously, the true culprit. Extraordinary. Wait, what did he say? Extraordinary, okay. Order! What exactly are you postulating?
Objection!
The defense's postulation is just that. Nothing more than conjecture. The witnesses have clearly stated that they saw the accused.
Objection!
But when elaborating on his testimony, Mr. Fairplay said the two of them were wearing hats and I couldn't exactly make out their faces.
Yes.
The tops of their heads were obscured by the roof.
I could see the rest of them, though.
Yes, that's right. Both gents were most certainly hatted. Hatters do tend to notice such things, sir.
And what particular styles of hat did the two gentlemen sport, Mr. First?
I'm afraid I don't remember.
And you call yourself a hatter?
The style of hat makes no difference. There was no third passenger in that cabin.
How can you be sure?
Because if there had been, the accused, Mr. Gilded, would have undoubtedly have offered to dispose the fact. Unless, that is, you're proposing an even more preposterous explanation. That the accused failed to even notice the presence of the true culprit in the very cabin in which she traveled. Ah!
He's right. If there was another person traveling in the closed cabin of the omnibus, it's inconceivable that Mr. McGilded would have been unaware of it.
Order!
There is clearly a simple solution to this problem.
Bring the accused, Mr. McGilded, to the stand.
Well, what say you, Miss Counsel?
The prosecution objects, my lord.
On what grounds?
As I suspect, he would have already made a false statement to the police.
But what if there was some reason he was unable to speak freely?
Magnus McGilded is no uneducated ruffian. If it indeed turns out the man has been withholding information, you can be sure it would have been a most deliberate act.
Counsel for the defense, what is your opinion?
My lord, should we ask Mr. McGilded to testify or not? Yes. We need to hear what he has to say in order to find out the truth. The defense would like to call Mr. McGilded to the stand.
In that case, I would like to hear the opinion of the jury.
Yes, I would need a little time to consider this.
If you ask me, I think we should hear what Mr. McGilded has to say.
Get the man out here, I say.
It would be utterly illogical not to hear his testimony.
When something that needs doing, get it done. That's how I run things at the guild.
Hearing what the patron of my favorite little park has to say? Oh yes, that would be lovely.
Yes.
Yes, the jury says the man must be heard.
Very well. The court will hear the defendant's testimony. Bailiff, show the defendant to the stand at once.
Now, maybe what actually happened that night will finally become clear. Oh my gosh. Okay. Alright.
Let the proceedings be resumed. Mr. McGilded, have you been listening to the disclosure of the day?
To be sure I have, my lord.
There are now two matters on which the court desires to hear from you. The first is whether or not there was a third party with you in the omnibus cabin as proposed by the defense. The second is that if such a person were indeed present, why did you conceal that fact from the police?
Begad, no. 'Tis not my nature to hide anything at all.
Just answer the questions, please.
The truth of the matter is, I've been desperate about this all along. Do yous tell all or keep me mouth shut? Do I tell yous all or keep me mouth shut?
Tell us what, Mr. McGilded?
Fine fella representing me is absolutely right. In the carriage on the night of with myself and the other man, there was another passenger.
Is that true?
Aye, and 'twas me who helped the little urchin get away after it all happened.
You...
What?
No, Magnus McGilded. That convenient excuse can't save you now.
I'm truly sorry. So I am, Lord Van Sykes. I'm sure you've been waiting, wanting to know why I said none when I was taken by the police. I do be having a very good reason, I assure ya.
Which was?
Well, the little child was just in the wrong place at the wrong time. And not in any way involved, you see?
What?
If the police had known the wee one was there, they'd have assumed she'd done it. They'd have hauled her into the courtroom just like myself. I was only trying to spare her that. Young hearts and young minds are only easily damaged, my lord.
And who was this young child of whom you speak?
That I don't know.
You don't know?
Well, the wee thing just happened to be in the carriage that night. Never saw her before or since.
Objection!
We have no reason to believe this man. The prosecution calls for the witness's statements to be disregarded by the court.
You know, I wouldn't be surprised if the urchin isn't here in this courtroom as we speak, listening to the proceedings. What? Smoke. Look, there's fire. Look, someone's trying to get away. There's no use. I can't see anything but smoke.
What's going on?
Be careful, Mr. Naruhodo. Cover your face.
Is this guy a murderer anyways? Have we Is he making his escape? Is he making his escape now? Be careful, Mr. Naruhodo. Cover your face.
Bailiff! Bailiff! Don't let the accused escape. Secure the omnibus.
I hereby call an emergency recess. Bailiff, ensure the defendant is in custody and clear the courtroom.
Yeah, there's totally not two fires behind you.
We were hurriedly removed from the smoke-filled courtroom by the bailiff. Amid scenes of chaos as people stumbled over one another in their desperation to flee the chamber. We had no idea what was happening. All we knew was that for the time being at least, the trial was suspended. To be continued. At long last. My goodness gracious, am I glad I did this on a Saturday. My gosh. This was a long one. Overwrite. Save complete. Wait. That went from trial part 1 to trial part 3? When did we have trial part 2? What? Okay. Anyways. That is where we will end it for the day. Thank you very much for watching, and have a very nice day. Bye.